one always seems to damp it down and then put a bit of echo on it afterwards. And I think that's partly because the one thing that always is the bugbear is the business of sympathetic buzzing off with other things, isn't it? There always seems to be something rattling and banging somewhere.
Well, considering that we did it all in the same room, which was considered unusual now. Full-blown bass amp going in the room, and was asking for snare rattles and all kinds.
So we're here at State of the Art Studios with Alan Parsons, who engineered Dark Side of the Moon with Pink Floyd, and we're here almost 40 years later. And Alan's going to be miking up Nick Mason's Ludwig drum set here. So let's talk about that. So you generally used AKG D19s on the toms?
That's my best memory. I mean, it could have been other dynamic mics, but I've always favoured dynamics for toms. But I'm sure we'll get something pretty close, provided the kit itself is pretty close. The snare mic at the time was an 87. Mm-hmm. I've since favoured 84s on snare, but the 84 hadn't come out in 1972, so mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I would have been using an 87.
And this would be a top snare mic. Did you?
Yeah, I didn't generally. I've never favoured miking the top, miking the bottom rather. Mm-hmm. Always done fine with the top mic, and then lots of top end adding. Mm-hmm. That gives you the necessary fizz from the snares.
Mm-hmm. Now for overheads, we have this mic here. Which tell us about this mic.
This is a standard telephones and cables STC 4038. It's a ribbon mic, so it's a figure of 8. It's going to pick up from both sides, and that'll be on overhead, so it'll actually pick up a little bit of the room reflection as well, which will put a bit more air around the kit. But this was a Beatles favourite. Jeff Emerick was always very keen to use these as overheads. Probably just one, because it was mono.
Right.
But
and what are the qualities of it that you like?
They're very, very sort of smooth sounding at the top end. They'll sound duller than condenser mics, but you add top end to them, and they make the cymbals really shimmer nicely. So I've been using these mics for years and years, and always had good results with them.
So you still use them today?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And now they've
got a nice sort of vintage look to them.
Yeah, they do, right?
They were
designed. They're magnetic.
Yeah. You don't get a tape near them.
Yeah, right.
Not that we're in the world of tape anymore, but
exactly. And then on the kick drum, there's something like a D20 or a D12.
That's a D20. I don't remember if we had a front skin on, did we, Nick? Do you think?
Probably not. Probably not at the time.
So we might end up taking that off. There's a blanket in there, so I haven't heard it yet. We'll see. So probably work on the damping of that if necessary before we actually stick a mic in there.
Right. And then so now because the band was generally tracking together, there wasn't much of an additional room mic used back then. And it was more of a dry sound anyway.
It was a very dry sound, and any wetness was just done with artificial reverb. So we went for the driest, tightest sound possible with maximum separation.
And we have actually those EMT plate reverbs here, so we can run that.
Real ones, not plug-in ones.
The real ones,
oh, great.
the real deal.
Good.
Which is fun. And they have a valve one and a solid state.
But EMI also, of course, had the full echo chamber with the full tiled room. Which is where we recorded footsteps. Yeah, well, we used to use it for sound effects. I seem to remember recording footsteps in that.
Yeah, at the end of On the Run.
No, that's not true, because the footsteps were at the parquet floor in number 2, and none of you were there. I did it with Peter James. Can I hear the kick? That's Tom's ringing, presumably.
Yeah, the toms are very live.
I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Well, we could put some tape on these.
any of them ringing more than any of the others? How about the snare?
Snare's quite dry.
I think one of these is ringing a lot with the snare, though. That's what I'm hearing. If you hit the snare. Is it that one? Yeah. We'll see. But there's quite a bit of ring on the toms. Let's see what it is. I'm right inside, about halfway point inside the. Okay. So we've got an 84 for the hi-hat.
Right. Now, one.
Is that the ride there? The first one to the right?
Nick?
Sorry? Is that the ride there?
Middle.
The middle one?
Yes, 20 inch.
Do you remember whether I would have come in from there or from there? There's
No idea.
Not a lot of room to get.
Right, I'll tell you what, we wouldn't have had 3 drums. It would have been 2, so we could lose. I wouldn't have had 3 up until well after the war, and it would have been it would have only been playing live as well. Now, do you want to play me the track? Shall I? Yeah, next door, and just tell me. Give me a clue what I'm going to hear.
Sure.
Why don't you just play? You could just literally play the whole album and have them play along with it.
That's pretty much it. I mean,
You mentioned earlier Nick wasn't happy with the drum sound originally when you're doing that. What
Yeah.
what changed in what the miking?
You know, I mean, I'm not sure if you'd forgive me for saying this, but I'm not sure it really did change that much.
Okay.
Just that we kind of got used to it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I mean, there was a point at which the band would just show up, they'd start playing, and we'd start recording. So there's no sort of checking everything. It was just seemed to be right.
Did you have a sort of a period of experimentation with mic placement?
At the beginning,
Guess
probably
that.
yes, but you know, once we settled on the mic choice, that was
Every track was then done in that placement.
pretty much, yeah. And only recorded on 4 tracks. You know, kit, everything else, snare.
Yeah.
That was it. So stereo, everything, kick drum, snare drum. So 4 tracks. The whole album was 16 tracks. It went to 2 generations of 16 tracks.
With bounces and things.
Yeah, reduced stuff down to make more tracks available.
Do you find that in some ways the limitation that was annoying at the time is one of the things that helped make things better?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's nothing like making decisions. Really have to. And, that was the fun, you know. That was the fun part, making things work, and knowing that you pretty much had to commit to them.
Were you recording like effects? If there were effects on guitars or whatever, would you make a decision and record that to tape, or would you kind of?
Most of the guitar effects were actually David's.
Yeah.
He was actually producing the sound from his amp.
Yeah.
So, apart from simple tape delay or plate reverb, that was it. There was not much else to do. But of course, there weren't any digital boxes back then.
Sure.
So everything was. All effects were done with tape. any time-based effects in the reverb area or the delay area were all done with tape. I found a miking formula for drums that works on everything. And I might EQ slightly differently from session to session or drummer to drummer, but basic mics I use have proven themselves over and over again. So I just go with that. A little bit more.
What sort of room were the drums actually originally recorded in? Was it?
Well, we did some track recording in Studio 2, which is the middle-sized studio, the one normally associated with the Beatles.
Yes.
Did quite a bit in there, and rather more in there than in 3. But we did do Us and Them in number 3, I remember.
Right.
But Money was definitely Studio 2, remember that? Would it be possible to concentrate just on sort of a basic rhythm, you know, bass, drum, snare and hi-hat?
Yep. Just, can you talk to me through the cans, Alan?
I'll try, yeah.
I mean, just tell me what you want.